Another day, another Chinese electric car brand planning to take over the world, and yes, coming to Australia and going worldwide. I mean, these cars are going to be in the UK, I believe Europe, many other countries, probably Thailand as well. Deepal are actually good. I've been sent some press releases by the company showing the details and specifications of their cars. They're certainly not industry leading, but they're going to be exceptionally good value. So the combination of good vehicles, not class leading, but good vehicles, with good pricing means that this brand might have a seriously big impact worldwide. If you have a look at their plans for all the different vehicles they want to sell, this is a real legitimate contender for BYD, and possibly maybe even Xpeng and Tesla. Hello my friends, welcome to the channel. Great to have you with us. I'm Sam Evans, you're watching the Electric Viking. Deepal, they're a brand that I've been talking about for a while. I've mentioned them on the channel. I've done a few videos on Deepal vehicles. To be honest, there hadn't been that much interest because they were just a Chinese vehicle there was no plans to be selling them outside of China. Well, that is until now. The Deepal S07 is a Model Y rival, which is coming to global countries around the world. It's coming to Australia. It's going to be, I believe, significantly cheaper than the Model Y. It does have much kind of lower specifications, less range, a smaller interior, smaller overall size car, but it's still a legitimate contender. And it's going to be a real strong contender for cars like the new C-Line 07. That's probably more of a contender for the S07. So when you're seeing these articles like here, 2025 Deepal S07 Model Y rival detailed for Australia. Well, if you look at the specifications of this vehicle, in some ways I don't think it's really a legitimate Model Y rival. It's a good car, but it's not really, for example, if you compare the stereo system in this versus a Tesla Model Y, would they be comparable? If you compare the software in a Tesla Model Y, if you compare the charging speed, lots of areas it won't really meet up. But it does look good, and I believe the price will be a fair bit lower than the Tesla Model Y. And therefore it's not really a direct competitor, but it's going to be a really good value proposition. Now this is a brand to probably take pretty seriously because they plan on a series of different cars. They plan on electric ute, electric pickup truck. They plan on like a Toyota Land Cruiser Prado style vehicle coming worldwide. And they also plan on an electric sedan, like a BYD Seal Tesla Model 3 rival. Not really, to be honest, maybe a rival for the Model 3. Maybe cheaper priced, lower specifications, lower range, but still a really good car for a really good price from what I'm hearing. So, Chinese brand Chang'an, they're one of the biggest companies in China. In fact, I believe they're a top 3 EV maker in China and one of the fastest growing companies in the world. Top 2, I believe, in terms of their EV growth this year, which is amazing, worldwide that is. They launched just yesterday the S07 electric SUV. Now they're actually saying that they have a range of different models of car that are coming. They plan on making them in right-hand drive. There'll also be plug-in hybrids for those of you who want those. One of them will have 316 kilowatt of power. That's a total of about nearly 450 horsepower. Massive amount of power. There's another model that has 440 kilowatt of power and a claimed driving range, CLTC, of 651 kilometers. So some pretty impressive vehicles. They've also got a very wacky vehicle I did a video on. If you want to check it out, I'll try and find a link to it on the channel. As you guys know, I've done more than 6,000 videos. That might take me a while. But the Chang'an Qichang E07, I don't know how to pronounce it, but who cares? It's sort of like a mini version of a Cybertruck. Actually, that's probably the best way to describe it. 5 seats, right? Electric vehicle. It's sort of a crossover with an SUV and a pickup truck. But it is in some ways what the Cybertruck promised to be. I had this argument with a friend of mine, Bill, who lives in LA. When I was in LA, he was saying the Cybertruck, it doesn't have what was going to be one of the best features. And I have to say he was right. I agree with him. It doesn't have the midgate. And this does have a midgate. So legitimately it is an SUV or a pickup truck. Either one, which is pretty cool. They've done a good job with that. But I mean, obviously it's a much smaller vehicle than a Cybertruck. So it's not really a rival for the Cybertruck, but it's just kind of a similar concept, right? So what do we know about the Deepal S07? Well, I have done a video on the channel before about this vehicle, but that was before we knew details for Australia. Australian details, where it will be launched, by the way, at the Sydney International EV Show in early November, and I'll be at the show. Love to see you there. I'll put a link in the description for a discount on tickets. They'll be the cheapest tickets you can get for the show. Very, very cheap, to be honest. It's only like $20 or something. Amazingly affordable. Love to see you at the show, so make sure you come along to see this vehicle there, and you can check it out. The base model has 160 kilowatt and 320 newton meters of torque. It uses an 80 kilowatt hour battery, giving it a 475 kilometers of range. So not a lot of range from that battery pack. Obviously, in my opinion, if you've got an 80 kilowatt hour battery pack in a vehicle this size, it's a bit smaller than a Tesla Model Y. It should have more than 475 kilometers of range. I think it's fair to say. But the reason it has that range is because that it uses a BYD blade battery. And I think it actually uses BYD's motors as well. So lower energy density, but they're very safe battery packs. They're affordable to manufacture, they're cheap. And that's one of the reasons why this will be an affordable car, plus also a very safe car. On the outside, the Deepal's lines look good. This is quite a good looking car. I really like the design of this thing. It's not overly done. It's not overly styled. It looks like more of a traditional SUV. I think it will appeal to a lot of people. It's got a pretty big infotainment screen, which is 15.6 inches. And apparently you can rotate left or right by 15 degrees. So you can kind of angle it towards yourself if you're the driver, which makes total sense. That all cars should do that. I don't know why they don't. I mean, you can then choose, right? If you want to have it flat and you want to have it straight, you can do that. If you don't, you can angle it towards yourself as the driver by 15 degrees. That is such a good idea. And everyone should be doing that. I don't know why they're not. What else does it have? It has a gesture control system that allows passengers to control various functions like music, calls, and an in-cabin camera using hand gestures. I've seen that in other cars. Hasn't really worked that well, I don't think. But we'll see. Maybe it will. The S07 ditches traditional instrument clusters for an augmented reality heads-up display that projects navigation directions, vehicle speed, and ADAS data onto the windshield. These systems can be really cool if they're done right. I think it will be. That's a really good idea. I like that idea. The cabin experience includes modes and an exterior light show that syncs to the beat of your music, rounding out some interesting sort of changes or differences between this car and other cars on the market. What about the warranty? Well, you do want a good warranty on a new car brand, that's not an established car brand in your country. It'll come with a 7-year, 160,000 kilometer warranty. That's a 7-year, 100,000 mile warranty, and an 8-year, 240,000 kilometer battery warranty. So that's a longer battery warranty than about 99% of other EV companies. 8 years, that's the same time frame as everyone else, but the distance, 240 kilometers, that's actually a pretty long battery warranty. It's about 150,000 miles. Only one version will be available when it launches, single motor, and I believe it's front wheel drive. Sorry, no, it's a rear mounted motor. In its home market, it also has a more powerful version that has 190 kilowatt, that's about 240 horsepower, and a smaller battery pack, a 66.8 kilowatt hour size battery. Now, I've actually done some research on this since I started this video. And actually, this battery pack it's not LFP. In China, you can buy it with an LFP, I believe a BYD blade battery, but the version we'll be getting here in Australia is actually a ternary lithium battery. I'm not really sure why the range is so low. You would expect that for a vehicle this size, with a battery that size, it would get more range than that. Maybe it's a conservative number and it will get more range than 475 kilometers. We'll have to see. Hopefully I can test one of these vehicles. I've asked to be able to test drive one. So I'll let you guys know when if I do get to test it. Now, performance, 7.9 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. That's 7.9 seconds, 0 to 62 miles an hour. It has 11 kilowatt AC charging. DC charging is the big problem with this car, and it is a problem. Now, DC charging is only 92 kilowatt, so it's one of the slowest DC charging vehicles, and that's kind of my point, guys. To say this is a Tesla Model Y rival when, first of all, it doesn't, have that Tesla supercharging network integration, which is a huge difference. It's a game changer, and it charges at a very slow 92 kilowatt. Now, that means it's going to take 35 minutes to charge from 30 to 80%. Whenever you hear these quotes of 30 to 80%, it does concern me. I don't like manufacturers doing this. They're just changing the goalposts. Let's move the goalposts, guys. Oh, let's just quote now. Why don't we just quote 40 to 70%? Soon in a minute, they're going to quote, oh, it'll charge in 10 minutes from 50 to 60%. This is ridiculous. Manufacturers, stop doing this. It's embarrassing. You don't quote 30 to 80%. The numbers are, you've only got two choices here. I don't like this. It should be only one, but it's currently two. It's 10 to 80% or 20 to 80%. Now, manufacturers, please stick with 10 to 80%. That is the number we should be quoting. This 30 to 80% nonsense is ridiculous. I mean, it's sort of like confusing. Let's just add more confusion. Anyway, how long would it charge from 20 to 80% or 10 to 80%? I've got no idea. I'm going to guess 45, 55 minutes. It's too long. You don't want to wait that long in a vehicle with this kind of highway range. If you're going on a road trip, for example, you're going to get maybe 380 kilometers of highway range. Then you're going to have to stop for probably an hour. It's a bit too long. So the charging speed is the big Achilles heel for this vehicle. The price, it's going to be revealed on the day of the EV show in Sydney. So the price could be really good. It could make it really worth that. What are the dimensions? 4.75 meters long. So a similar size to a Model Y with 1,930 millimeters. Boot space. Boot space is, I don't know, maybe this is wrong because it doesn't sound right to me for a vehicle this size. The boot is exceptionally small for the size of the vehicle. It's only 445 litres. And that said though, it has a huge frunk. That's why I think these numbers don't add up. I don't think Deepal have calculated these numbers correctly. So let's check this when we find out, when the vehicle is revealed at the show. But they're saying it has a 125 litre frunk, which is quite a big frunk, but a very small boot of 445 litres, which is like the same size as, like a BYD Atto 3 boot, which is a much, much smaller car. So those numbers don't add up to me. Anyway, servicing and warranty. Well, we know the warranty is a really good warranty. The servicing, apparently, we don't know the Deepal dealer network. They're going to reveal that later on. I think that's going to be revealed on the same day from November 8th to the 10th. There is no safety score for this vehicle yet, but considering it does have 7 airbags, autonomous emergency braking, driver monitoring system, surround view camera, front and rear parking sensors, overspeed warning, hill descent control, front collision warning, lane departure warning, lane keep assist, rear cross traffic alert, rear collision warning, side exit warning, blind spot monitoring, adaptive cruise control, traffic sign recognition, lane centering, traffic jam assist, and tire pressure monitoring. Assuming it does come with all that, and it's apparently going to, you'd think it would probably get a 5-star safety rating, very, very likely. So standard equipment, 19-inch alloy wheels. So to give you a direct comparison, Xpeng G6, the long range version, battery pack is just a little bit bigger than this, not much bigger, about 5% bigger. It gets 570 kilometers of range, and the cars are similar size. The Xpeng is just a tiny bit bigger, and it uses 20-inch wheels. Now, if you were to put 19-inch wheels, which is the same size wheels as what you get on this, onto the G6, so if you took the wheels off this car, put them onto the Xpeng G6, you'd be getting approximately 10% more range. That's the approximate number we're seeing across all different models of EVs, meaning the G6 would then have 630 kilometers of range versus the 475 for this. So you can see how these numbers don't really quite add up. I'm a bit confused by them. Anyway, it gets a tire repair kit, so you don't get a spare tire, which is pretty normal in the EV industry. 4 drive modes, heated power folding side mirrors, panoramic sunroof, electric sunshade. Panoramic sunroof, that's unusual in this segment. Privacy glass, LED headlights with high beam assist, LED rear fog lights, 64 color ambient interior lighting, dual zone climate control, air purification system, heated steering wheel, the large 15.6 inch central touchscreen with the tilting feature, augmented reality heads up display, which I really like the sound of that. Those can be really cool. Wireless smartphone mirroring, 14 speaker Sony sound system. Could be a good sound system. To be honest, so far my experience with most, not all, but most Chinese EVs is the sound systems are shithouse. And people kind of like, oh, you're being too harsh. That's not very nice. Yeah, actually it's true. It is. You've got to play with them, and in some of them you've got to put your own subwoofers in them to make them sound good. But the fact that it has a 14 speaker Sony sound system, I'm going to guess it's actually probably pretty good. USB-A ports, 1 USB-C port and two USB-C and 1A, 12 volt power socket, rain sensing wipers, power tailgate, keyless entry and start, panoramic view, dash camera, 40-watt wireless charging pad for your phones with ventilation. That's good. That helps to keep your phones cool. Gesture control, scenario mode, black synthetic leather upholstery. Guys, Deepal, take that out of your brochure. You can't have synthetic leather. It doesn't exist. It's synthetic upholstery. 6-way powered driver's seat with lumbar, 4-way powered passenger seat, and heated and ventilated front seats. You can option 20-inch alloy wheels, but don't do that unless you're only planning on driving this car in the city. That's just dumb. You're going to be reducing your range by around 10%. Black orange seat trim with orange stitching is also an option. Now, what are the color options? You get Comet White, Lunar Grey, Eclipse Black, Nebula Green, Celestial Blue, Cosmic Yellow, and Sunset Orange. That's a lot of colors, guys. That's 7 different color choices. That's very unusual for companies to do that. All in all, I really like this car. Everything about it I think is pretty good. But the one issue here you really have to seriously consider is the charging speed. 92 kilowatt charging, like I said. I don't understand why manufacturers would do that. I mean, think about it. The Zeekr 7X, right? It's coming in, what, less than 6 months? It's going to have likely have 550 kilowatt charging. I don't understand manufacturers doing this. But outside of that, this is a good car. If you're willing to wait, be patient when you're charging for long distance trips, this could be a good vehicle depending on the price. We'll find that out in a few weeks' time. Thanks for watching.